Hi friends, my name is Luciano. I make videos on the internet. In today's video, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Puerto Rico, which is where my family is from. If you are new to my channel, I'm so stoked to have the chance to meet you. I normally talk about jump chains and choose your own adventures, but I sometimes talk about other things. And if you are a returning friend, I'm delighted that you decided to stop by once again. In today's video, I want to talk about Puerto Rico's status in relation to the United States and what that means for Puerto Ricans. I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm making this video from a place of personal irritation, and I wanted to make this video yesterday, and I tried filming it a few times, and it just wasn't working. But I am going to talk about Puerto Rico and its status and what that means for Puerto Ricans. Puerto Rico is a Commonwealth of the United States. We are a territory that is owned and controlled by the United States, but we are not a state. Puerto Ricans are natural-born U.S. citizens, and Puerto Ricans can freely travel to the rest of the United States without any sort of documentation or anything like that. Puerto Ricans can vote both in Puerto Rico and in other parts of the United States. And while if you vote in Puerto Rico, you do not have a vote in the general election for president, you can still vote on who Puerto Rico sends to Congress as a non-voting member and on local elections, which are occupied by parties that are not the Democrats or Republicans, but are other distinctly unique Puerto Rican parties. Puerto Rico's status in relation to the United States and its future status in relation to the United States is a subject of a lot of really intense discussion in and out of Puerto Rico, both by Puerto Ricans and not by Puerto Ricans. Lots of people have really strong feelings about this. There are many independence seekers and there are many people who seek statehood. There are some people who are still content with the Commonwealth status, but the reality is that Commonwealth status is, last I checked, something that is becoming less and less popular. And indeed, I think, if I remember correctly, it's been becoming less and less popular my entire life. But in the wake of a range of catastrophes, both man-made and not man-made in Puerto Rico, people have been being less and less content with Puerto Rico's status as a commonwealth. And regardless of whether or not you want statehood, you want free association, you want full independence, all three of which are statuses that there are people who are in support of. The reality is that more and more people are becoming less and less content with Puerto Rico's current status. At least that's what it was, both statistically and in my personal experience, the last I checked. And the last time I really focused on this was a couple of years ago. But we have referendums every once in a while, and the referendum results are pretty universally that the current status is untenable and that it's not what people want. There are thousands of people in the mainland who do not understand Puerto Rico. There are plenty of people, and I would argue more people, who are just racist. They know that Puerto Rico is a commonwealth. They understand that Puerto Ricans are American citizens. They're just racist. But there is genuinely a staggering number of people who do not understand Puerto Rico's history and relationship with the United States. They do not understand that Puerto Rico has been a part of the United States for longer than anyone alive now has been alive. They're just ignorant of this. And I think it is a profound failure of many different institutions that there are so many American people who do not understand where and when the United States comes to an end. So there are an embarrassing number of people who think that the United States is just the 50 states and also DC, They do not know about Guam. They do not know about the U.S. Virgin Islands. They do not know about American Samoa. They do not know about Puerto Rico. And when they have some level of understanding of this, they don't have the full understanding of it. And while these are complex things, I think that at a bare minimum, I think that everyone should have some level of understanding of, at the very least, the 50 United States, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and Guam. And I would love, ideally, for everyone to have a full understanding of our relationship with all of the U.S. territories. It is deeply frustrating that we do not. And I would not be surprised if there were other territories that are a part of the United States that I didn't mention. And I'm more than willing to admit that if I didn't mention them, it's because I didn't remember or I didn't know about them flat out. And I'm a historian. But the reality is that we have failed on a significant institutional level when it comes to making sure that people understand what the United States is and where our borders actually end. Because it is not just the 50 continental, it is not just the 48 continental states, DC, Alaska, and Hawaii. There is far more to the United States, including legally, than what I just said. And we need to do better about teaching people the fullness of our territory, the fullness of our size, and also what it means to be an American, who is an American, and what all of these processes mean and look like, both for our present and our future, as well as our past. It is my hope that one of the consequences of the Bad Bunny discourse is that more and more people start to understand what it means to be an American citizen, who is an American citizen, and that is usually a consequence of this kind of thing. I remember when Justice Sonia Sotomayor was allowed to become the next Supreme Court justice. I remember that full process and the hubbub about the fact that we were finally going to have a Puerto Rican in the Supreme Court and so many people learning that Puerto Ricans were American citizens. I have hope and faith that in this moment there will be a long-term positive outcome, even though I myself am personally annoyed and I'm exhausted with the not fun level of racism that I myself as a Puerto Rican experience, and also the unimaginable level of racism that Bad Bunny is experiencing from people who have both no idea what the fuck is going on and also people who are conscious that he is a Puerto Rican and know what that means and are still choosing to be racist. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I hope that if you didn't know this, this video presented this information to you in a way that made sense and was helpful. If you want to learn more about Puerto Rico's history, I'd be more than happy to have videos on that. But for right now, I hope that everyone has a wonderful day and a great weekend. Bye-bye, everyone!